Good morning, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here for today's DMAR Connect, the business of giving back. We're going to be discussing philanthropy and how that can impact your business plan going into the new year. So I'm really excited about our panel today. I am Derek Camunez. I am the broker owner of Remax Avenues here in Lowry, and I'm also the chair of the Community Alliance Committee, the CAC. So used to saying CAC. So again, welcome. Thank you for being here. We are going to be starting our discussions here after a few introductions. If you have time at the end to stick around, by all means, please do so. We'll have some networking based on time, but again, a good way to meet some friends and kick it off from there. So without further ado, I want to start off by introducing our industry partner spotlight on our industry partner, Greg Mateurn with Finance of America Mortgage. Greg's going to say a few words about his company and himself. So Greg, thank you for being here. I'm going to hand it off to you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Derek. And thanks, DMAR, for allowing me to speak this morning. My name is Greg Mateurn. I'm with Finance of America. And my son, Zach, is actually somewhere in the waiting room, I think, trying to get in. My background, I've been in the business since 2013. Previous to that, I was a manager of IT, about 108 people that reported to me globally. Worked 80 hours a week, and my wife's been in the business for about 30 years, and she convinced me to leap to the dark side. So I joined the mortgage business, and actually recently joined about 6 months ago. He got his license and joined my team. We moved from Gilbert, Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona to Denver back in January of this year. And we, about a month ago, opened our new branch on the corner of Alameda and Colorado. It's in a building called the Ptarmigan. And we are in the middle of doing a build out on our space. We're in a temporary space there. We're really excited. My background as far as networking, I'm part of several chambers back home. I'm part of the Denver chamber. Obviously, I've joined DMAR. I'm part of a real estate group back in Phoenix as well. And, we came out of the sales rally for our company this week, and it was a lot about the industry changing. And in 2020, many of us in the lending side of the business, we were able to, basically kill it with a lot of refis. Refi business was prevalent, rates were great. But many of us kind of stepped away from, keeping our relationships. And so really what this year is going to be about is, you've got to get back to basics. You got to get back in touch with your partners, your referral partners, your people like that. And so joining the organizations, partnering with people is key. Finance of America, we offer the standard products, conventional, FHA, VA, USDA, and as many of you probably know, the minimum or the maximum loan amount for conventional has moved up, or is planned to move up to 625 at the beginning of January. We've actually, as a company, went ahead and moved ours up. So if you know anybody that's in that jumbo space, that's kind of in that in between, we can cover them. I'm licensed in Colorado, Arizona, California, New Mexico, and I'm working on Nebraska because I actually have 42 first cousins back there. So hopefully that'll drive some business. One of the big things about our company is we focus on a lot on self-employed employees, self-employed owners, right? So they, as many of you know, they when they do their taxes, they write off a lot on their taxes, and so when we get it as loan officers, there's not a whole lot of income in the net that we could use for qualifying. So as a company, Finance of America we have several internal programs under our Flex umbrella, is what we call it. And so we've got a 12 and a 24-month bank statement loan program. We've got a 1-year 1099, and then we actually just launched a P&L only loan program. So we're not back to stated income yet, and I don't think we'll get there, but we as a company are taking some aggressive moves to help those self-employed individuals. And so I'll end with my tagline, if you need a loan, don't feel alone, called Greg Mateurn with Finance of America.
I love it. Well, welcome. We are glad you're here. Thank you, Greg. And again, I'm going to move on next to Savannah Smith. Savannah is actually one of our corporate sponsors with Chase, and she's a home lending advisor with the company, the bank, Chase Bank. So Savannah, would you like to say a few words? Introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Savannah. I'm here with Chase Bank, and we've got really awesome programs. So the one I specifically wanted to chat with you guys about, especially going into the new year, is our Agent Express program. This one's really great for getting those relationships and reaching out and touching clients that you wouldn't normally have access to, which is awesome. They're all pre-approved, which is great. And you're getting in contact with the decision makers right away and getting the customers who are ready to buy, who are in that area. Chase is really pushing it hard and sending out that information to all of our clients and using different AI to find people who are buying houses and really capturing them from the moment that they're interested, and helping with our other partners so that they can capture that business too. And so we're pushing it on our apps and our mobile website. And it's really a great opportunity for you guys to reach out and get those clients that you wouldn't normally have access to, that are just, Zillow shoppers, and can be a little bit more challenging to get that first contact with. So I will throw my information into the chat box for you guys, and would love to chat more with you about that and how you guys can get involved in the program and really build your relationships that way. It's great.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Savannah, for being here, and thank you to Chase for being here also. So again, we really appreciate your support. Let's kick this off. We have an amazing panel today. I'm going to introduce them and tell you a little bit about them and what they've done and what brought them to us. And then we're going to have a great discussion and kick it off from there. So first up, I want to introduce Lori Pace. She is with the Community Alliance Committee, and she's a past DMAR board member. Lori has been featured on 9 News, Fox News, KDVR News, and in Denver Life and Real Producer magazines, among other publications over the years. She and another mother started GEMS, which stands for Gainfully Earning Moms, and which was developed to support the collaboration of businesswomen who are working mothers. That's awesome. She founded a neighborhood group called Soulfully Central Park, celebrating diversity and inclusion, spreading the idea of neighborhoods taking on racism in real estate, hashtag Here Grows the Neighborhood. She served on several boards and works with community organizations committed to philanthropy and positive change. I would also add that Lori is the recipient of the 2021 CAR Diversity and Inclusion Award, which recognizes individuals who go above and beyond to support diversity and inclusion in the real estate industry. Thank you for being here, Lori. We are excited to have you, and we will be talking to you shortly. Next up, we have Neymar Lopez, also with the Community Alliance Committee. Neymar is a Venezuelan native who has been in Colorado for over 7 years. Neymar is a real estate agent at Compass Denver and is active with the Denver Metro Association of Realtors, the Denver Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals, as well as the Latino Chamber of Commerce. For Neymar, family, friends, and community are a priority. She also enjoys biking, hiking, and dancing. And he is also a volunteer, an extreme volunteer who volunteers her time for nonprofits, as well as Intercambio United Community, In Between, as well as NAREP. And Neymar will frequently lead fundraisers to help others in need, which she'll be sharing with us shortly. Welcome, Neymar. We're glad you're here. Thank you. Next up on our panel, we also have Jean Fischetti. Jean serves as the Habitat for Humanity of Metro Denver's Director of Sponsorships. Her primary responsibilities include engaging corporations and faith congregations with Habitat's mission. Jeannie has worked with Habitat Metro Denver since 2004 and has held a number of positions over the years, including Director of Volunteer and Corporate Engagement Manager. So Jean, thank you for being here. We're looking forward to hearing what you have to share with us. And also we have Shannon Williams King. Shannon has been helping buyers find homes that they love and sellers say hello to their next opportunity. That's what Shannon does best. Since becoming licensed in 2000, she has assisted more than, get this, 1,000 families with their real estate needs in multiple states. Island Living Homes is the 3rd boutique real estate firm that she has started. As a 30 Under 30 award recipient, Shannon is an active voice for the real estate industry, serving the National Association of Realtors as 2019 past chair for member communications. Some past appointments as well include the extended leadership team, executive committee, finance committee, chair for strategic planning, member communications, YPN, and the PAG for Realtor University. So that's so impressive, Shannon. We're so glad you're here. We'll be talking to you soon. So welcome, welcome. And then to kick this off, we have our own Nobu Hata. Nobu joined DMAR as CEO in 2020 from his previous position with the National Association of Realtors as the Director of Industry Outreach and Engagement Strategy. A real estate industry veteran since '96, Nobu is a dynamic real estate association professional with a member-first leadership philosophy. Nobu is known as a visionary and has an intrinsic and progressive understanding of DMAR's realtor culture and business. We are so glad to have you here, Nobu. And I have to add that Nobu was named one of Inman's top 100 most influential in real estate for over 3 years in a row. So I am impressed with that, Nobu. Again, great panel here. I'm turning it over to you, Nobu. Kick us off.
Awesome. Thank you, Derek. Thank you, panelists, for being on this. I really love this topic of giving back, and I'm hoping that for those of you in the audience, you're either doing it and you want to do it a little better, you're inspired to do it, or you're looking for an outlet to actually get it done. This is, in my mind, one of the things that we have to do as realtors is to really prove to the community that we are more than homes, that we are more than transactions, we're more than opening doors. We are ingrained with our community, and giving back is a way to do it. And what you have here is are varying ways, through our panelists, varying ways to get it done. And I'm really stoked to be able to share this, along with a potential outlet here with Gene and Habitat for Humanity. So get ready for your questions, get your questions and put them in the chat. I'll ask them. Piper Knowles already chimed in. Yes, Shannon has got an incredible resume. She's also on the current leadership team that just got installed for NAR. So anything you want to know about NAR, please chime that in as well. But let's get started real quick. And if you guys would be so kind of give us a little hint about what you guys do in your business to give back. So maybe Lori, we'll start with you. What do you do? How do you do it? And what inspired you to go down this road?
I'm actually going to flip it a little bit, because what I found that when I started just embracing being authentic, and it sounds cheesy, and that's who I am, is cheesy, that when I started doing more of my philanthropic work, it started to influence my real estate business as opposed to the other way around. So I've been participating in a lot of volunteerism, which many of us do in real estate, which is what brings us into real estate eventually, because we're relationship building people. And we tend to have an impact on our communities. And oftentimes the real estate comes second. And so the work that I've been doing has always been volunteerism, but I started focusing more on diversity inclusion because of experiences that I was having in my life, and wanting to share that experience with others and encourage more people to do work that help families that were considered vulnerable. And on the flip side of that, those populations that were considered underserved demographically, but excelling in business and in other areas that people were not recognizing or celebrating. So for me, it was more of what can I do more in the community? And as a result of that, things started happening. And probably the most recent example of seeing it actually come out to fruition, because what I believe is all these seeds get planted many, many years before you start seeing them grow. And that's how philanthropy is. You don't really see the benefits of it until you have enough funds to make the organization be sustainable. And I had been working with an organization for many years, and then they asked me to serve them and be their representative on a large transaction. And that probably was 20 years in the making, if I'm honest about it. And then my most recent relationship with them was volunteerism, not recognizing that they had a large portfolio of real estate. So they brought that to my attention after asking me to represent them, but that was never part of the plan, nor did I know that was even part of their agenda. And I don't think it really was initially, but we had a couple needs that came up in the real estate world. And I think my colleagues here would probably share the exact same story, that it really flipped around.
Very cool. And actually, you bring up a really good point, Lori. Don't expect to get immediate business from this. And if you actually go in wanting business from this, you're probably not doing it in the right spirit of things. So please don't be that D-bag. Sorry for my my language here, but I've been up since 4:30 and I'm pretty punchy. But please, don't go in expecting that you're going to get an ROI on this. Do this authentically. Do this because you want to and you're passionate about it. Really good point, Lori. Neymar, what about you? What you've been able to do with this, with NAREP has been amazing. What do you do in your business right now, or vice versa, as Lori mentioned?
Yes, I am really focusing on the Hispanic community and helping them in any way I can. And it all started like way before I was in real estate as well. Being from Venezuela, when I moved to the US, I just was so full of gratitude and amazed with all the opportunities and resources that are available in this country, that I was just so amazed that I tried to, at the beginning, start to help my people in Venezuela, right? So I was doing fundraisings to send goods for them, to help them in any way I could. And that's how it started, right? And then I noticed that also in the US are so many ways to help the Hispanic community here, but they wouldn't know about it. So that's why when we started to do translations, I started to connect people with all those resources. And that was before real estate. Then when I became a real estate agent, I heard about NAREP. And that's how I connected with them. I was involved there by then. And then when I moved to Denver, I connected with them even more. And it's been amazing, because what we do is that we try to provide education to the Hispanic real estate agents, or the agents that provide services to the Hispanic community. And it's been amazing now connecting with DMAR too. It's been wonderful to be able to it's more my time, right? What I'm doing right now, but very focused on the Hispanic community.
That's awesome. Shannon, I remember us talking about this like 10 plus years ago, right? The stuff that you do, that you've kind of institutionalized it in your multiple real estate businesses. So what are you doing now in Hawaii? And which, by the way, she has become local so damn quickly. It's scary in Hawaii, knowing all those folks over there. But Shannon, what are you doing with Island Living, and how are you guys giving back right now? Yeah, unmute yourself, Shannon.
We go. Hi. So for me, having done this for 20 years, my volunteerism really started organically in following my passions, right? So I was a school teacher, and for me, always giving back to my community in some way was really important. All of my different brands, I've always had it in and out. We can delve into that later. But specifically at Island Living Homes, we still give a portion of our proceeds to the schools of our clients' choices, which is something that I started years ago when my company was Schoolhouse Realty. But taking it to another level is on a monthly basis. For us, it's providing opportunities for our clients to engage with us in the community is kind of our base point. So for example, in February, we have a large fundraiser for our schools. We fly in live Maine lobster. We send out invites to all of the neighborhoods. And, you know, for $30, you buy yourself a Maine lobster. Our cost is roughly $20. The extra proceed goes to the school of your client's choices. But we do that on a monthly basis. So every single month we have a community activity, whether it's a beach cleanup or, you know, angel tree where we, you know, go and take tags off the tree, and we do it live on social media, and we engage our clients to, you know, purchase the gifts for the family. So it's really community-based support. But again, it's not about us doing it. It's about engaging our clients and participating with us. So Habitat for Humanity is one of our big builds. We do one in March where we invite all of our clients. And we, you know, as you know, with Habitat for Humanity, it's not just the manpower, but it's also the finances. So we pledge a certain amount donated to Habitat for Humanity for every client we have that goes and builds. So it's pretty cool because, you know, they like to spend our money, which is even more fun.
Yeah, it's a really cool approach to this. And I think that's kind of the big thing that I've seen change as demographics shift, right? Not only is it the agent getting front and center, it's the clients as well, because frankly, and we talked about it a couple of days ago, if you're in the market to buy and sell a home, you probably have a little bit of that extra money and time to go and give back as well, right? So that consumer centrism is a huge part of it. Kudos to you. Yeah, and hold on to that thought, Shannon, about how you get this done, because frankly, it's been amazing watching you do that in multiple states. But Jean, you know, from the actual, you're on the receiving end of this. You know, what, and you can unmute yourself. So What has that been like, being on the receiving end of this? We've had COVID, we've had all these issues out there right now that's kind of stunting this, but it hasn't really. It may have been a little bit of a hold up for giving back, but things are coming back full force, right? What's it been like for you guys being on the receiving end of giving back from realtors in the community?
So, I would say yes, things are coming back, and thank goodness, because March through May of 2020 were certainly some dark months for Habitat, and I think for so many nonprofit organizations. And we really, and Shannon, you said it so eloquently, but Habitat has two needs, and one of those needs is labor, and the other of those needs is funding. We could not do this work without both, and we do have some wonderful partnerships with realtors who provide both of those resources to us. I always joke with folks that if everybody just wanted to come out and volunteer, I'd have a lot of confused volunteers standing on a piece of empty land. You're like, I'm holding this hammer, there's nothing here. So, we absolutely need both of those resources, and we're grateful for the partnerships that we have, and looking forward to doing more with DMAR and your 8,500 members. If we can collectively harness the power of this group, the impact you all can have is beyond significant. So we invite you to engage with us in a variety of ways.
So, and just real quickly, you guys have broadened, and Shannon, I'm not sure if you're seeing it out in Hawaii either, but it used to be 10 years ago. Remember, Shannon, we would go on a Habitat build as part of the NAR convention and whatever. But now you guys have a mortgage company. You're actually being proactive with the needs that are out there. What's it like to have that almost like this pioneering leadership aspect within your own community now to give back through your organization, Jean?
I would say, we're not your grandparents' Habitat for Humanity. Maybe I'll put it that way, that this organization really has changed so much, especially over the last 10 to 15 years, because the needs in our community have changed. So if we were still the Habitat for Humanity that would build one or two single family homes, we wouldn't be doing all we could to serve our community. So Nobu's right. We're a mortgage lender. We're building new homes. We renovate existing homes. We partner with seniors to make modifications to their homes so that they can continue to live in their communities and in their homes. So these days we're serving about 160 families locally every year through all of those different programs. And that's what our community needs from us right now. And the more supporters that we have, the more of this work that we can do. Ultimately, at least on a new construction side, it costs us about $300,000 to build every single one of these homes. So we do have a lot of different funding streams, but philanthropically, I still have to raise $150,000 per home. So the more supporters we have, the more homes we can build and renovate, et cetera.
Wow. Okay. So let's start going down this road on getting it done. Okay. So Lori and Neymar, let's kind of knock out this leadership aspect. You guys are essentially herding cats every day, right? I mean, it's like you're engaging with other leaders. You're going out there trying to make change within people. How do you find the time? And I think that's the biggest thing that realtors have a problem with right now is I don't have the time to do this, but they have plenty of time to waste time on Facebook and all the other crap that's out there that's supposedly making you money. How do you two guys find the time to go and lead and make this a part of your, Lori, in your case, this is your passion first, business comes second, Neymar, a little bit of both. How do you guys find the time for this? What do you do to be intentional about it? Lori, we'll start with you.
I'll say prioritize. I'm probably the worst agent. I think I've sent out a just listed postcard maybe 5 times in 10 years because it just wasn't a priority. But what I learned in the last couple of years was delegating some of those things that are what would be considered part of the business side of real estate, the transactional side, and focus 99% of my time solely on working in the community and serving on different capacities. I met people through Habitat for Humanity many times over the years, but never really saw myself as a realtor working with Habitat. Jean and I met each other with a Women's Bill project, and I was working alongside with someone who's the recipient of one of the homes, and she had not seen her realtor participate on the building side and only on the transactional side. So there's opportunities to do both, where you're working with the recipients. We often think of the consumer side when we're building our business, but not on the philanthropic side. And so I made that realization a couple of years ago, and I was doing a TED Talk, and I had this concept called philanthropy, which was obviously bringing philanthropy and real estate together and reinvesting it. And I recognize that that's what everyone does. They spend their money somewhere. And if we can just re-engage it in our business and use that proceeds, like you talked about the ROI, into the community, it becomes a part of who you are. So you're not wearing two different hats. So what you just explained is that I don't really wake up thinking about what am I going to be doing with my client to build my business? I think about how's the community getting better. And in that, I found that I've gotten a lot more empathy for my clients. And I will share with them, this afternoon, I'm working with such and such community. And so we're going to be looking at homes, and we're going to do it with purpose. So we're not kicking tires today. Our goal is to get you to get this home, but let me invite you to join me with this activity that I'm doing later on. So I used to hide and say, oh, I have another appointment or another meeting. Now I just tell people what I'm doing. And so on Saturdays, I'm probably going to be doing most of my time with this ABC. I would love for you to join me. So I don't have to make it really part of my business planning, but I did recognize that you have to have systems in place to run the real estate transactional side of it. And without that, you really can't do both. And I really would say that 20% of my business is transactional and 80% is on volunteerism and philanthropy.
That's great. And you nailed it again too. Like the need for realtors, really anybody, to be authentic. Like that's now. You got to do it now. I mean, we are such BS artists in this industry. We have to stop it because it's exhausting, man. It's exhausting being like, oh man, I got to do this stuff. I got to do that, and then I got to build my business. Just being you from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed is absolutely essential right now to not only business, but in life. I think that's a great point. Neymar, what about you? You know, you do a lot of this, folks, they're not even in this country, right? Is there a secret sauce to that really being intentional about time management?
Well, I think organization and motivation are the two big for me. If you are not motivated or you are not passionate about what you're doing, you're not going to give your time like for free for it, right? So I think finding what you really are passionate about, it will be key. So maybe you don't care about anything right now, right? So then I think don't forcing yourself to do something just because people think it's the right thing. It's not okay, because then it's going to be like your reputation, like you're going to not do the things that you should be doing. So finding something that you're passionate about to volunteer to help, it's key, because then you'll be motivated to help. So and then being organized with your time and your priorities. It depends on where you are in the business too, right? If you are a newer agent, maybe just find something that you're passionate about and just give a little bit of time. If you don't have a lot, if you're working a lot in your business, I think with time you will learn how to balance both. But maybe you can't compare maybe with Lori, that she probably, he's been doing philanthropy for many years and she already knows how to do it. But for some people, they're like, okay, I just don't know how to do it. So just start with something small. Other thing that I do to help people is with each transaction that I close, I have 3 people that I help. And my clients, they decide who they're going to help at closing. So that creates a really deep bond for me and the client, right? But it doesn't take my time, right? It takes some money, but it's just find the balance on what you can or not get.
Finding your passion is really important. I mean, at this point, Jesus, I mean, there's like, if you're passionate about like underwater basket weaving for like underprivileged seahorses, I mean, there is going to be an outlet for you. That's a weird one, but find a better, in my mind, find a better one. But there is a lot out there. Don't be afraid to, again, be authentic, but in your mind, ingrain it, right? Integrate it into your business, and you're going to be okay. Right.
No, but can I just quickly interject, because both of us mentioned, all of us here, the family piece. As realtors, we often miss out on the family piece. I started bringing my kids to closings a long time ago, and now most of my volunteer work is with my kids. So that's how I was able to almost justify bringing my kids with me, and because I was losing that family time, because you can't do all. And the time that I spend with my family often is on site working in a volunteer capacity.
Yeah. Kudos to that, by the way. Learn them early, man. My kid's going to be packing bags tonight for homeless youth with his classmates. So he's got no choice, but he's going to be bribed with pizza. So there's always a way to do it. Shannon, you took these passion, and I remember us having this conversation about it. You grew up with like the Tom's Shoe CEO, which is when like giving back became almost systematic with a lot of folks, right? So you were, I remember hearing that conversation about him with how it affected your business. You've done it now 3 different times, right? Austin, San Diego, and now Hawaii, which is amazing. It works everywhere. What are your tips to not only find that inspiration, but with you, like you've integrated it into your business so quickly? What's the secret sauce to that? Is there something that folks are they can do today that they can execute?
Yeah, no, I think the secret sauce is making it part of who you are. So I think it goes back to the authenticity, right? So what are you passionate about? And I loved how she said she takes her kids with her to do these things, right? And so for me, it was looking at what priorities Scott and I wanted and needed in our family. And they're all at different phases, right? Schoolhouse Realty, I didn't have a child yet. I had just stopped being a school teacher a few years prior.
And that was San Diego, right? Everybody.
That was in San Diego, exactly. So it was really looking at the needs of my family. When we moved to Oahu, we did have a family, and it was more difficult in the market. You also have to look at what your competition is, what your market will allow. So there's a lot of research that goes into it. But it's really making sure it fits with your lifestyle, because you're not going to do it otherwise. And it's also the commitment. We just planned in October for all of next year, all of our community outreach. It is preset. When people come to me last minute and say, this is a great idea, I'm like, great, we'll add it to next year's calendar a year later to do that item. So it takes a lot of planning. I heard the word delegation. Absolutely. I don't do the majority of the work behind it. I do have a staff and my agents. I get everybody involved. It doesn't just fall on me to do all of the outreach. But I think most importantly, it's looking at living the life by design. Where do you want to be? Where do you enjoy spending your time and filling in there? For me, my father was a home builder. Habitat has always been very important to me. On so many levels. So I've always had an element of habitat wherever I go, right? And schools, everything leads back to schools for me and those kids, because I was a school teacher. I know how much money I spent on the classroom. And so being able to contribute in ways, it's just super important.
So real quickly on that, and maybe Lori, Neymar, and Shannon, you can all chime in on this. What does that initial outreach look like? So say I pick a group or a community, a segment of my community, or an organization that I want to reach out to. What does that outreach look like? And Shannon, you mentioned planning a year in advance. That's how a lot of folks are doing it now. So they're not spread thin, right? So they can be very intentional with their time. What does that initial outreach look like to you? Shannon, what does that look like to you being not from Hawaii?
Right. No, exactly. It's really just, and I find it's really important for me to make the initial contact. There's sometimes that I don't have time or whatever, and I'll have somebody on my team make the initial contact. But it's amazing. We have a home in Kailua, for example, and it's a community home of elderly, and during COVID, nobody could come visit them. And so all of the activities for the retirement center stopped. And so just by happenstance, one of my agents was looking for a place for her kids. I'm not her kids, her parents. She made a phone call, and lo and behold, all of a sudden we have a partnership with this home. Sometimes it just happens, right? But you have to call, you have to ask. And I think there are plenty of community organizations out there. It's just identifying what's important to you and making that call. Everybody has a need. Everybody needs help. So, oh no.
Yeah, no, paying attention, showing up, and really, and I think for you, what's been interesting is having your whole team do it as well, right?
Yes.
Lori, Neymar, what are your thoughts on that initial outreach?
Mine was a little unique and different in that I decided I was going to focus on the power of attraction. And so I created these little groups and I'm horrible at social media, but one thing that I recognize is that I had no way of knocking on doors, which I sucked at anyway, was to figure out how can I attract people to something that they believe in as well. So the two groups that I started were in the neighborhood. One was for families of color, and it was honestly self-serving. I didn't want to have my kids feel like they're the only Black kids in the neighborhood. So I started knocking or tapping people on the shoulder. Every Black person I saw, do you live in the neighborhood? And it would embarrass my kids, but eventually I realized I can't keep doing that. And so I created the Facebook group, and people just started coming to the Facebook group. So now we're at almost 200 families, and we do activities together. Now, I will say that people always say, how can I help? And almost every event, it's me and my family doing it all together because people run out of time. You have to be willing at default to do it yourself. And so even though we've attracted these groups, now years later, when there was issues going on in the neighborhood and there were political issues that happened after George Floyd, we already had people together to mobilize. And so it happened that we needed to have each other to support each other in the neighborhood. And my realtor hat completely came off at that point, 100%, because of what was happening in my own family with George Floyd. I forgot about being a realtor, and the PR started coming about the neighborhood and the people in the organization. And it wasn't until later somebody said, well, what do you do for a living? And I said, a realtor. And they said, oh, so you sell houses in the neighborhood? And at that point I had to take on, that's not what this is about. And really draw that line, which is dangerous because there's some political things that come with that. But there are times where you have to put being a realtor to the side to do authentically what makes sense to you and where heart is. So that there is some part of that where people also showed up and were being sponsors versus trying to find sponsors. People showed up and said, we'll bring water, we'll help with this. I had competing mortgage brokers come and help me to make these things happen. So what I end up finding is that if you find a way to attract people, it just somehow works out. But there is that leadership part that you have to do.
Super good point too. And frankly, that's a good use of Facebook. Even Facebook would tell you that Facebook is a freaking cesspool right now. But man, there are some really good aspects of it, namely those groups, especially if you create one that's authentic in its purpose and intentional in its use, right? So, if you're out there thinking that you can create a Facebook group and make money from it without any of this stuff behind it, think again. Okay. Think about that runway and think about why you're doing it rather than your bottom line. Neymar, what about you? Any thoughts?
Realtors that put on advertisements for their home services on it. And I just have to sit back and let it happen, because then you become the realtor that people say, oh, you're trying to do this for business. So there were realtors who creeped in and said, oh, look at all these people that I can now farm to. And I just have to sit back and let it go, because if they were going to work, they were going to work. If they didn't, they weren't.
Yeah. Please don't do that, by the way. For everybody's listening, please
and at that point, just like communicating what you are doing and how you are doing it is so important to avoid this misconception that you are doing certain voluntary things or donating just to get business is super important. And like make sure that the focus of what you're doing is based on the charity or the person you're helping and not on you, because that coin can flip like bad. So for me, I think to find a place or the charity that you like is about passion. Like if you like hiking, I'm pretty sure there are like tons of nonprofits or ways to help people on trails or that help on, on these kind of hobbies that you have. So I think like when you find your passion or what you like, I'm sure there are organizations that can just divert from it.
Yeah, and really good about, sharing your passion and being intentional about that. My wife and our kid tonight, they're packing these backpacks for needy youth, and got through the neighborhood Facebook page to get it done. Leave it up to my wife to tell people what to do. But it's a thing, right? Especially if you're pretty intentional about it. But Jean, let's talk about it. So what are you guys needing now? And I've been talking to a lot of other organizations like yours. There is, frankly, we're in real estate. Everyone's having a good year. And frankly, if you're not out there, you fix something in your business, but everyone's having a good year. Giving back has always been a thing that folks want to do. If they should reach out to somebody like you, what are you needing now? What are you telling them that you need? Is it leadership? Is it influence? Money? Wood?
Yeah, this summer was rough with lumber prices.
Yeah.
So, it's all of those things, Nobu. So I would say the first thing is that as we're entering the holiday season, Habitat does have some fun ways to give back with us right now. So we're doing a gingerbread decorating competition. So you can check that out on the events page of our website. We also have the opportunity for sponsors to donate $1,000, and then you can engage people in delivering poinsettias to the elderly clients that we serve. So that's something that you could do in December. It's a great way to give back. So those are our holiday events. But then bigger picture, again, it comes down to that need for labor. It comes down to that need for funding. So especially as we enter winter, I'm sure this will not surprise you, but the number of people who want to volunteer with us really dips off. So I think it might be a slow season sometimes for you guys too, although in this market, who knows? But we would love to have you come and volunteer with us, especially in January, February, March. Those are times when we can really use your help. And while most of our work is outdoors, we do also operate an indoor production shop where you guys can come and paint siding that will later be installed on the construction site. It's indoors, it's climate controlled. Please come join us. We can use that help. And then the other concept, this idea of funding. So we work with a few realtors who will make a donation to Habitat for every closing, or in honor of every closing. And what I love about that is that that's something that's scalable. So the realtor can decide, this is the amount that makes sense for me now, but as my business grows, I could probably also grow that donation to Habitat. And again, I go back to the fact that DMAR has 85 members here, or 8,500 members here in Metro Denver. Even if a quarter of those agents started making a gift in honor of every home you close, what a significant contribution that would be for us locally. So I would certainly encourage you all to think about that.
But you got to have a plan. We have to reach out to you, get an idea of what your calendar looks like, right?
Exactly.
And this is for everybody and everything. Ask better questions, right? About when is the most need suited to your business, and then go from there. I think that's the big thing. It's like cutting a check is actually fairly easy, but it's giving up that time and leading that can take a lot out of you if you decide that you want to do it too late, right? So, so plan ahead. I think that's the big thing that I'm taking away from this. Now would be a good time to go and ask your organizations that you're passionate about to, let's compare calendars and then go from there. Right, Shannon, you mentioned this now, and maybe this is something that all of you guys can chime in on. You plan, you get it on your calendar. Is there anything else that you're doing right now? Like, how do you, when you get that check, right, that commission check, which is everybody's thinking about, do you divert X amount of dollars away? Do you cut them a check immediately? Do you do it all at once? How does it work for you? You're muted again, Shannon.
Hey guys, so that's a great question. So no, well, kind of, yes and no. So the way that my money comes in, or the money for my business, I'm a broker, right? So the money comes in, it's divided directly at closing to the agents. And then for me, the way I run my business, I also have 4 different pots, right? So I have a tax account, so I divide everything out. But our portion that we pay comes directly out of our general fund. So a portion of every single one of my agents' commissions goes into the general fund, and that's where we do all of the company marketing. And I consider the investment towards, you know, whatever it is, I consider that kind of a marketing fund, right? I mean, the money goes to charity, but at the same time, it is a marketing piece. And I will say, whenever I look at this, I think someone said this, it might have been you, Nobu, we don't look at it as marketing, right? We do this because we really make an impact on our community. And so if you start from an authentic place, you don't feel pain when you're writing the checks. But for me, it is, you know, we write the checks after the commission comes in. It would be brilliant though, if you could with your, I don't know how you guys get paid, but through title or escrow, if you just had a small portion go directly there. But for me, we do write it. When we were in California, we actually had a big golf check, and we would physically go to the PTA meeting or to the board meeting, and we would have our clients there, and our clients would be the ones holding the check, not us. We would be at the back of the room with the microphone saying, on behalf of, you know, Ginger and George Smith, we're contributing money. So we made it a big deal in California and we made it about our clients, not about us. And that was huge. We don't do that now. That takes a lot of extra time that we just really don't have right now.
Yeah.
And even with, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Lori.
So even with the brokerage, I mean, I've been talking about philanthropy with my brokerage forever and almost to nauseam. And through the efforts through diversity inclusion was the philanthropic side of it. And so we were able to create a philanthropic arm of the brokerage, which many brokerages do. And actually NAR has boilerplates and ways in which that you can do that already. But the other philanthropy that we often forget is each other and agents that need help who fall on bad times. And so through our brokerage, we have a fund that allows us to help those agents from other agents, you know, so we were developing that fund to be able to help our agents and encouraging agents to help other people. So that was not an easy task, but that required attorney and other important people, but just the idea started and then all the pieces came together so that it could happen with the attorneys and all the other people. And then we were able to engage affiliated partners in this philanthropic side of it because we had now a foundation and funds to be able to do this work and making sure that agents know that if you do fall on hard times, you can come to this group. And also NAR does the same thing. And a lot of people don't recognize all that NAR does on the philanthropic side, and most agents don't know about it. And so as we share this idea, then to your point, it's not marketing and it's not even PR, it's just sharing good practices that it eventually comes to a point where people say, did you know about such and such? And as we know, word of mouth is the best way for us to go have anything grow.
Yeah. And on that, you know, saying that NAR has it, it is called Realtor Relief Foundation. Yes. We raised over $8.5 million this year, which is incredible. But you're exactly right. Agents do not realize, but that's there in case your house floods or you have a natural disaster in your area. There are outreach, and kudos to you for creating that within the brokerage. There are places for help.
Absolutely.
Really good. Thank you for the NAR plug. That was really nice.
But most of us know that, you know, and I have never been that organized to work in an association related. I stopped doing all the board work and things that had nothing to do with real estate. And I noticed that once I started doing that, I started realizing all that NAR already had, and there was no reason to reinvent the wheel. There were all these resources and opportunities that we just don't tap into. And even the work that I was creating in diversity inclusion, they have an entire system. All of these things existed. I just didn't know how to tap into it. And so the more I learn about what NAR is doing and I get organized around seeing how I can get support and network, the more I recognize that we are literally collectively doing this together.
Yeah. And by the way, yeah. And Shannon, go ahead and take that back to Leslie, that people are noticing this stuff. But there's a lot of information out there at nar.realtor. Just do the search. Realtor Relief Foundation as well, to measure any impact in that. Ask any realtor who had their house burned down last year during the wildfires here how much it impacted them. So yeah, boy, internally is fantastic. Boy, realtors give to themselves. help each other every day, right? So Neymar, any thoughts on processes, solutions, practices?
Oh, of course, but wow, Lori, that's huge. I really like that idea. I didn't know about it. So for me, what I do the closing table when I cut the check, right? I don't do it at the closing table itself, right? When I go there, I just show them a picture and a story of the person or the 3 people that they can choose from. And I mean, again, the connection that I get there with my clients, it's super deep. Like people can't even cry there because the people that I'm helping are really, really in need. So then what I do is after I get paid, of course, I send a check to that person or to the nonprofit that they choose, because that's another choice that I give them. And then if they choose one of the people that I'm helping, I record a little video and I, from that person that was helped, saying thank you to my client. And that is huge. I mean, it's not that it's money from their pocket, but they feel like they're part of it, and they are, right? So it is huge, and we connect in a deep level, like with my clients that way. It is beautiful.
By the way, it's never a proper Zoom meeting until there's a dog barking. So whoever's dog that is, pet that good boy and you'll be okay. So real quickly, you get an ROI on this. Giving back, there is an ROI, right? Whether it's realized upfront or later. What has been that ROI for you? I mean, it may not just be business, getting you into a sphere of influence you may never have had before, or leveraging an existing one even better. Being that realtor who's not that kind of D-bag realtor who wants to, continue to sell everything to everyone. But by doing this authentically, there is an actual ROI on this. What have you guys experienced? How do you track it? And Shannon, I know you do a little bit of tracking this stuff. Do you experience that? Do you use anything to track this stuff in terms of what you get back for this? And how long has that runway been to get that? Shannon?
I think for me, it is the easiest way moving into a new market to really create a platform, right? So it's not just I sell real estate. No, I impact my community. And I think it's a platform that people listen to. Just having I don't send just listed, just sold postcards, but what they do get, the entire, all of Kailua, 40,000 people get mailers for me saying, I will give $10 to your local school for every lobster you sell, right? So I'm impacting the community. It's a lasting impact. It's different. It's not being done by anybody else. And people take notice. Now, can I connect that back to an actual home sale? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But it's a very easy way to move into a marketplace and really authentically make friends and get started. And for me, I think that's priceless. I mean, it really is.
And I will tell you, you know how far back I go with that island in real estate. I'll tell you that they are noticing it, and frankly, it's the best kind of rip off and duplicate, right? If you get other agents to do this, we'll only get better as an industry.
Well, and that's something else that I will say, for me, we actually reach out to other brokerages, and other agents. And for me, it's all about the power of people. And that's actually why it's not just my brokerage. It's not just my agents that go build habitat or that go and do the beach cleanup. We get everybody we know. We invite other brokers to do it. I truly believe that there is no, when it comes to community service, I want everybody to do it, right? Like I want to include as many people as possible because we're going to make it better. So I want people to steal the ideas. I want us to do it collectively. I don't know. I mean, I think it's very short-sighted for agents to think, oh, this is my idea and I don't want them to do it. I encourage you to go to everybody in your office and do one community service event this year and ask everybody in your office, everybody in your networking group, wherever it may be, because it will take off and catch on like wildfire.
Yeah. And Lori, with Kentwood, right? It's ingrained with that whole brokerage. So it's a law of attraction helps there too, right?
Absolutely. And Kenwood has been supportive of all of the side stuff that I've been doing in the community and in diversity inclusion. And I had to at some point say, you know, I don't track my numbers. I'm the worst at marketing. And I finally had to say, there's a reason for that. It's not important to me. And so once I got their buy-in, will you support me in my community work as opposed to tracking it? Then it changed how I was even looking at working with my brokerage. And truth be told, I have never tracked it at all. And this year, working with other agents show up from different companies to different events that we do and what I do in the community. But this year I had coordinated with an agent from another brokerage for another project. And through that, I brought in a nonprofit, and I had never sold. I mean, Kenwood has been known for a luxury firm. And I could tell you, I didn't have a lot of luxury business, but I had my first $1 million listing just a year ago. And I had all these other smaller deals, but this year I had a $4 million deal from the nonprofit that I was working with. That I never would have predicted in a million years. And for me, the reason why it was important wasn't for the commission, but it delivered 34 affordable homes, which has been my passion for 20 years. So if you would have told me that my biggest listing would come from affordable housing, I couldn't have even planned that if I tried. And when it came together, that aha moment at the closing table was remarkable, because I knew I was doing affordable housing finally, even though I was considered a luxury firm.
But that is something that you shouldn't plan, because if you're planning, like, I want to do this so that I can get that $4 million, you will fail, because that is, it's not a straight line to get there. It's that constant sphere building that and influence that you get by doing what you do that results in that. So it's a very good result, traditional result, but man, is it one that pays off just by showing up and giving a damn, right?
Yeah, really.
Totally. I think I would say from the nonprofit perspective, we want to support the businesses and the agents who support us. So, you know, I've had an agent on my Women Build committee since 2013, and she never once pitched me. She just has genuine love and respect for the work that we do. Everyone I know who has bought and sold a house over the last 10 years has used her because we value what she brings to us. So, you know, not exactly the deal that Lori is talking about, but, you know, we see those genuine relationships and we want to support the people who support us.
You bring up a really good point. People notice, right. They know your intention. And frankly, if they want to work with you, they're going to send everyone and their mother to you as well, because we have common likes that the agent might fulfill that as well. People like you are paying attention. I think that's one of the things that realtors lose sight of, is the fact that consumers are hyper aware of what in the hell other folks are doing or not doing, right? When you have something like 70% of, especially millennials now, and I hate using that demographic, but they are now the major buying power within this country. Almost 70% of them are asking what you stand for as a business owner, as a brand, as a corporation, right? So, you know, this is an easy way to do it, just by showing up and getting involved. Neymar, any thoughts on that?
Yes, that you just touched the point that I was going to talk about. Like, you don't get a number as an ROI, but for me, for example, it improves your brand. It's just people know that you are not all about the transactions. It's much more like you are more like richer as a person and have a lot to give, and you know, connect with you on that level, and that's super helpful. I have a client that just found me on the website, and they noticed that I was volunteering with certain nonprofits and how I was helping Venezuela. And she just hired me as a buyer agent just because of that. And she was looking in the Compass website. There's a lot of agents, like top producers there. And she just picked me because of my bio, because of my community work. So I think that's super important. And and they're gonna, you know, once your client knows who you are and what you stand for, they're not just gonna work with you, they're gonna send you referrals too. And for me also, working or volunteering with NAREP had opened so many opportunities, like me being here, for example, and being part of the CAC and the DMAR board of directors has been amazing. And I wasn't, you know, planning on it. It was, you know, me like, okay, this is gonna be my path and I'm gonna get there. no, it was just me trying to be involved with the Hispanic community, trying to help the industry, trying to be better for my Hispanic clients. And that just come together. You just have to be realistic. You just have to be genuine about what you're doing.
Yeah, but it is a differentiator. You guys, I think you guys have all mentioned this, and to Gene, it stands out. Every realtor I know calls himself a top producer, to the point where it doesn't really matter anymore. You know what I mean? But when I Google each and every
Not to mention, some of us or some people pay for that title. The irony of it all.
Yeah, I just got hit with it. I could be a who's who in Colorado CEOs too for a sponsorship of $3,000. Yeah, that's no, thank you. But you guys have talked about it, right? If I Google each and every one of you guys right now, I know what you stand for. I know what makes you different, rather than this whole sea of sameness that we deal with in real estate. Guys, there are 20,000 realtors in the Denver metro area that say the same thing, right? So start using whatever you're doing now as a differentiator to really stand out, because we can't be called top producers anymore, because everybody is one of them. Everyone sells a house in 30 seconds or less with 5 offers. Everyone's doing that. So you got to be different, right?
Especially
so
now with all the disruptors and iBuyers and all those things, use that as leverage. Figure out how we can connect. And you may not have access to clients because of these disruptors, but you have an opportunity to do work with them in the community. When I did this stuff with Gene, I came across 6 people in other parts of my life through a Habitat program. So my mentor of 30 years, I end up 2 people that sat on boards that had nothing to do with the project, because we all ended up in the same place, and none of it had nothing to do with real estate. And I was there in a different capacity and showed up with people that I'd seen over many, many years. And it just amazes me how you do eventually attract those same people.
Yeah.
Yes,
Hey,
I like that point.
we've got about 5 minutes left here. So if anybody wants to jump in and ask any questions on the chat, please do so. Shannon, actually, to kind of beef up Lori's point there, you actually built a business in Hawaii. I mean, I'm marveling at how quickly you're able to build that brokerage out in Hawaii. There was actually a really short window for you and short runway to build a business by giving back.
Yeah, no, I 100% firmly believe that having a community-based business model is 3/4 of the battle. But you have to do it authentically. I mean, we keep saying that over and over again, and you build it around your life. So for me, I actually, before even choosing we knew my husband's military, so we knew we had to move to Oahu, but before choosing the city, we did look at a lifestyle, say whatever I want now. But living a very purposeful life. So we chose a lifestyle that we wanted, but we also looked at things that were near and dear to our hearts and that the community would accept as well. So I think it's being really mindful of your audience. But yeah, no, absolutely. I think being able to, and that goes back to that community awareness. When people meet you and they're like, oh, you're the ones who are doing this, and they put it all together, it just makes the conversation a little bit easier in transition. And Hawaii, unlike any other place I've ever lived, they actually don't ask you what you do for a living. In fact, you can know someone for years and you hike with them and you surf with them and you do morning power yoga with them. They are going to know who you are as a person because they see you in the community before they're going to ask you what you do for a living. It really is not a keeping up with the Joneses kind of place, which is also really refreshing and leads back to that quality of life that Scott and I want for our family, right? So, yeah, no, huge impact.
Alan Rodriguez has a really good question in the chat. Tax implications. How do you guys manage it? Maybe Shannon, this might be a question for you.
Mine's a little bit different than theirs in that, especially Lori's, where she has more of like a business design. For me, you have to obviously keep great records anyways. Being a broker, I have to. As an agent, I recommend you do it. More than anything, it depends on how you write it off. Like some of my stuff I write off as marketing, some I write off as charity, right? So it depends on the organization you're giving and exactly what you're doing. So make sure you have a good conversation with your CPA and they understand what you're doing and where your better tax write-offs are. Because sometimes charity isn't going to get you all the way. Maybe marketing would.
Guilty. I mean, I don't do any of it through taxes. Most of it has been my time, and the funding that I do without any credit for it, for lack of a better reason. Again, probably not the best business model, but I would admit, I mean, business has not been my strong suit. It has all been philanthropy. So I've never tracked it. I have no idea, but I do encourage my clients that if that's an incentive for them, the organization that I represented, they actually use that to part of our negotiations for the transaction was that they were able to give the buyer, or the seller rather, some tax advantages. And so other businesses do use that as a way to connect. And in the case of that transaction, that is what got us the deal, because there was going to be so much capital gains from it. It made a difference to be able to offer that.
Yeah, hire an accountant, Alan. I think that's the big thing. They're well worth the money, well worth the time. And what you want to do is to make sure that you have a scalable solution, right? So you may have nothing to give now, but only time. But at some point, you'll be like Shannon, where you've got more money, less time to give. That's when the accountant can come in. And I can tell you right now, plan with your accountant on that and let them know what they're going to do at the beginning of every year, along with any organizations you should be giving to, because of this issue. Okay, but do it. It's well worth the time. Erica Molnar asked a really good question. Maybe each of you can give this one last bit of advice. She's a new agent, wants to do this, has no idea where to start, passionate about dogs, and I'll tell you, dogs makes the world go round. Just ask my wife on that, right? Because that's what she does in Chicago. So how should she start? Shannon, what about you?
Yeah, so it's funny. I have an agent in Austin that her whole platform is through dogs. So for me is look at, do you go to a certain pet park, like where, dog walking park, maybe host an event there where you give away toys or something. Just get to know the people and really find what are the issues that dog owners are facing, right? Maybe it's like pet service, they need daycare. So maybe every time or every time you close, you give money to the local dog shelter so that you save a dog. I mean, there's so many things that you can do and build yourself and make yourself the dog person of the community. But really volunteer your time at the local shelter, give proceeds with every closing, $50 of all of your closing goes to save a dog. I mean, whatever it is, the sky's the limit.
Yeah, learn the good habits now. Thanks, one. Lori, go ahead.
Just ask other people, what are they doing? Let's copy what each other's doing because it helps everyone. Find out, what's successful. I know in our neighborhood, our homeowners association does a dog calendar, and they run out every year. There's a wait list. They have a dog photo shoot, and people do competitions for dressing up their dogs for the holiday, and they have a winner. It's huge. And they have a doggy relay. When they're empty the pools out, they let the dogs go in there, and they have a relay before they drain the pools. It is huge. They're absolutely huge. And I've always said, and if you're an agent that lives in the neighborhood, take this one. I've always said, why isn't there a realtor helping them with this? Because talk about amazing PR, but it's something but I don't have a dog. So talk about not being authentic. It would be totally inauthentic for me to sponsor something like that.
Yeah. Neymar, what about you? Any tips for Erica?
I do know an agent that she does the photo shooting with for Christmas, and only dogs allowed. So you have to come with your dog. If you don't come with your dog, you can't take the photo. So she does that, and it's a lot of fun. And everybody's always proud about their dogs. I love dogs too. And then you get to connect with them. And she also does, I think it's during the summer, she partners with a shelter, and she does an adopting day event. So she posts pictures of all these puppies and helps this particular shelter to get those dogs adopted.
And another idea that there is a service for military, and I assume you guys have some, military centric, but this would be perfect. There are some programs when people move. Oftentimes dogs cannot move at the same time as the pet owners. Maybe they don't have a house or whatever. But have a service where during the transition times, you support an organization to help with those transition times. It kind of relates to moving, right? So then you become the go-to person when people are moving, asking questions about how to transition with a pet. That would be a really good platform to explore as well.
Holy crap, that's a really good idea. With all the people that are moving here, that's a really good idea, Shannon. Erica, yeah, roll with that. Gene, what about you? So say Erica wants to hit you up. How should she approach you as an organization?
I think it's just reaching out and setting up a time for me to get to know Erica and what she's interested in, because there are different components of Habitat. I mentioned that we have a women build committee. So, do you want to engage with something like that? We also recently started a pride build. So would you like to engage with that aspect of Habitat? I mentioned the elderly folks that we're now partnering with. So I think it's really getting down to getting to know you and finding out where you are in your business, the goals that you have, what your passions are, and then we can put together a plan for you.
Awesome. I don't know about you guys, but this has been a really fun conversation. And it's always nice to end a conversation with puppies, right? So I think we're good on that. Shannon, Jean, Lori, Neymar, thank you guys so much for sharing your expertise. This has been a whole lot of fun. All of these folks are Googleable, but we will, if anybody's interested in getting their information, please add your information to the contact chat if you could. But Derek, I'll toss it back to you. This is a lot of fun. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys. What an incredible panel, you guys. Just such a wealth of information. And it's so appropriate that we're having this discussion the week before Thanksgiving and talking about blessings. And at the end of the day, it starts from a place of kindness. And each and every one of you brings that kindness to the table, especially from your hearts. So again, thank you so much for sharing that with our community and with all of us. And we learned so much today. So again, thank you. A couple of announcements before we break up here. Our next DMAR Connect is going to be on Friday, December 17th, 9:30, with Stuart Cowell speaking about filling your pipeline moving into 2022. So that's going to be coming up again on December 17th at 9:30. Also, our next December Meet and Mastermind will be on December 14th at 9 a.m. This is going to be a holiday meeting located in the Parker Fieldhouse Community Room. The Industry Partner Committee will be providing breakfast, and we will be having Justin Knoll come and speak about filling your pipeline for 2022. And get this, you guys, it's Wear Your Ugliest Sweater Day. So if you join us for that event, bring that sweater out of the closet you keep for that one time a year when you bring it out. And again, that's going to be the ugly sweater piece of that event on December 14th, 9 a.m. I would welcome you guys to stick around. We have a little bit of time, ask questions, meet with each other. But again, like I say, thank you all for spending your morning with us. Thank you for sharing your ideas. And I am looking forward to learning more about each and every one of you in the coming year. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving next week. And Julie, anything else you want to add before we break?
I don't think so, but yes, if anyone wants to hang on here for a few minutes, we got like about 10 minutes of networking. Just kind of hang out here. Maybe our guests, our panelists would stay on for a little bit and answer questions if you've got them. So yeah, that's it. Thanks, Derek.
Thank you,
and
guys.
Thanks to our panelists.
Yes.
There's nothing awkward about it.
I would be curious if there's anyone else out there who's doing something really cool philanthropically. If you'd like to share with us maybe what you're doing, you could either unmute yourself and join or do it in the chat.
I just want to clarify also what happened with Kentwood was they were creating the philanthropic group already because there were so many people in the organization that were doing philanthropic work. So that board ended up being people that were doing things in so many different areas, and we just found a way to bring it together as one. And so and the most important thing about that, it has to be management led, because all the work that I've done over the years could only go so far until a brokerage takes on the leadership from the management position, or more importantly from the owner position, CEOs. Nothing really happens. It's just a lot of noise, and you really need that buy-in from top down.
One of the other things that we've been exploring is getting these different groups together. So bringing Habitat for Humanity together with, say, a Knock Knock Angels or another group that's out there, and actually bringing the two communities together and having even more of an impact. So I think that when we're talking about where do we start, another piece of this is actually bringing groups together and sharing what they're doing collectively with everyone else. So I think that's kind of a fun idea to work with in the new year.
Hey, Derek, will you share Knock Knock Angels with everyone? Because I was doing we were doing a children's home build, and one of the first things they said was gathering furniture, and it made me think of Knock Knock Angels. There's probably so many agents who have inherited washing machines, dryers, furniture, things like that. Will you share with everyone about that? Because I was just amazed when I heard that.
So Knock Knock Angels just opened their Denver chapter with the leadership of Scott Matthias. We did that 2 months ago, and we've actually done two of our first stagings. Knock Knock Angels basically collects housewares, furniture, dishes, anything that a house needs. And when a person is transitioning out of homelessness into their first home, Knock Knock Angels comes in and we furnish the whole thing. We bring in the bed, the linens, the plates, the silverware, everything. And then we spend about a morning, a few hours getting the place ready. And then there's an unveil. And we hand off the house to the new homeowners. And it's just an amazing thing to see because, again, you're providing that safety and that place to call home. So Knock Knock Angels, like I say, we're getting it up and running. We're going to start really focusing on collecting furniture, housewares from realtors, because as realtors, we have so many clients who are moving or have extra this or extra that. So that's going to be the goal of that, collecting things and then getting volunteers to come help us get these houses put in place. So that's what Knock Knock is about.
Very cool. You know, in Oahu, we have an agent who all she does is she offers to clean houses out, right? You're selling a property and you need us to come in and clean it out. And so she has a crew that just comes and takes everything out. They take half the stuff to the dump, right? Or wherever, and half the stuff to their warehouse to save. But she does it as a service. And then we as agents pay her. So the way, you know, we pay her $1,200 to come clear a house. Her cost might be $500. She gets to keep the good stuff and she makes money. But that may be something you can,
Great idea.
You know, something to create there. One thing, and I know I'm sure most of the audience has left, but I think one of the things that's super important is focusing. So like one big organization, and this is what I loved hearing, you know, like Lori, you have yours, and how do you say your name? Nayra? I might be saying that wrong. But you have a focus, you have a niche. And I think the girl who asked about dogs, I mean, just do anything and everything that's relating to dogs. For me, it's schools. Even though I have a bunch of different things, it all leads back to schools at the end of the day. Just know who you are and stick with it and find out how you can impact that one small community, and it's going to go huge. So that being said, thanks for having us, guys. This was really fun.
Thank you guys, all of you. Like I say, really good information. So thanks for being here.
With that, going into Thanksgiving, what a time to be thankful. So
Yes.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy
Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
Bye-bye.
Y'all take care. Bye-bye.